This is the Godox WEC-S Kit 2. Not to be confused with the WEC Kit 2, which I made a video about previously, or the WES. They all look quite similar. But this one is made specifically for Sony cameras because this receiver can talk to the multi-interface hot shoe. And that means you don't need to go through the horror of realizing that you stole your little cable from your microphone set to use on your studio mic and then never put it back, and now you're screwed because you're on set and you don't have any way to make your thing talk to your other thing. Sad story, it's happened twice. And if you just want to skip to the part of the video where I'm out in the world testing what this thing actually sounds like, skip to this point in the video now. With the WEC-S, you just slide this guy right onto your MI hot shoe with your Sony camera, and it does all of its connection through the contacts right there. Sony mirrorless cameras have a data connection built into this hot shoe, and when it plugs in, you can see how the audio interface on the back of my A7S III suddenly has all this data it didn't have before. 48 kilohertz at 16-bit in 2 channels. And with this microphone, the option to change any of those settings is grayed out in your camera settings, so this is what you get. With digital audio, you aren't using any gain in the camera. These microphones work both in digital and analog mode, and in digital mode, you're not using any gain from the camera, which should mean that there's less interference sound, and you can just make the signal louder or quieter with the buttons on the side of the receiver. Which is a fine segue to the buttons on the side of the receiver. On the transmitters, the microphones, you've got a power button and a DNR, digital noise reduction button. These have a built-in noise reduction feature, so if you don't want to mess with your audio in your editing software, but maybe you're talking somewhere that has a bit of noise, a public street, or just the hum of your air conditioner, or whatever might be making noise, you can push this button once and you'll see this light turns from green to orange, and that's indicating you've got the noise reduction turned on. Push it again, goes back to green, and the noise reduction is turned off. The same button is also using for pairing a microphone to the receiver. And that's all the buttons on the microphone itself. There is a USB-C female jack for charging this thing if you don't want to use the charging case, because these will charge while they work. One thing that's missing on these transmitters is an input jack for a lapel mic. So you won't be able to plug a microphone into this. The only way to use this microphone is with it clipped straight to a shirt or a jacket or whatever you're clipping it to. But at least for social media, that's totally becoming the norm, so that's not a big deal at all. It'll be a little harder to hide one of these if your purposes are making indie movies or something like that. On the receiver side, you've got a 3.5mm jack for non-Sony devices, a power button, and then your gain up and your gain down buttons, which also double as a pairing button and a mode switch. The mode switch is important to understand because it'll switch this thing between mono and stereo recording. And the main reason you might want to use that, not for actual stereo sound, but if you're recording 2 people and they speak at noticeably different volumes, you can switch this thing into stereo mode, and then person A is only recorded in the left channel and person B is only recorded in the right channel. And then in your editing software, you can separate your left and right channel into 2 different mono channels and have a separate volume for each. That's a very useful feature there. On the other side of this receiver is a USB-C plug for connecting this thing digitally to a computer or other device, a switch to turn on the microphone that's built right into this receiver, and a switch to deliver the sound digitally or over the 3.5mm analog jack. Which brings me to the next new addition to this version of the Godox mic. So this receiver, the thing that goes right on top of your camera, has a microphone built into the back of it. This is super handy in an interview situation where you are both the cameraman and the interviewer, especially if you're talking to 2 people, because you'll have this microphone pointed straight back at you, and then you can just clip on each of the 2 microphones to the 2 people you're talking to. This is also great for a commentary situation where you're filming something but you're talking about that thing in real time while you're filming it. Then you won't have to fuss with clip-on mics at all. You just got your mic right in your camera, really close to your mouth. No cords. So easy. This kit comes with a charging case, and this case has enough battery capacity to charge all 3 modules 2 times. These mics last about 8 hours, which means if you start the day with them and the case fully charged, you can hold in your hand 24 hours of use time without having to charge anything. That's the initial charge on the mics plus 2 full charges from the case, which is hopefully more time than you'll need for any shoot. I usually take 30 minutes to an hour to record a video like this, so with 24 hours of record time, worst case scenario, I should be able to record 24 YouTube videos without charging this case. Probably not the case, but that's gnarly. Also, and in case you're unprepared, I'm unprepared a lot. Luckily, you can charge this thing while it's in use. And whether you shoot in a studio or you're out in the world somewhere, you should always have some kind of USB-C battery bank with you and a kind of long cord. It will eventually save you at some point. If I'm at an event, I keep a small one like this with me in my pocket so I can just run a cord out to my camera or to my microphone or to my phone or whatever I forgot to charge, because everything charges with USB-C. And when I'm here in my studio, I've got a couple of these big Neewer batteries. It's got 12-volt outs. It's got USB-C. It's got a D tap on there. It's got USB-C, USB-A. It can charge everything at once. This thing is awesome. I should make a video about this. Also in the kit, there is a 3.5mm TRS cable and a separate 3.5mm TRRS cable. TRS is what your camera uses, and TRRS is what non-iPhones or older iPhones, smart devices use. So this is not a Sony only kit. It'll work with any camera, just not in the digital mode. You switch it to the analog mode and you can just use the 3.5mm jack out, just like any other microphone. And then you also get some windscreen, some dead cats in here, this little protective sort of hard shell case. These mics don't have any sort of internal recording. So if you do lose connection for some reason, that audio will be lost. But if you wanted to use these as a backup audio source that does keep recordings, you can do that. You can plug your receiver into your phone just using a USB-C cable. And although you don't get any indication through my little tests, I can see when I tap the microphone, you can see the lines. So these do work with the phone, just straight out of the box. I really wish there was something on the screen that tells you in any way that you're using an external microphone or that it's plugged in. My Rode Video Mic NTG also works digitally with a computer or a phone like that, but it doesn't tell you. But that's definitely an Apple thing, not a Godox thing. So with the combo of your phone, your iPad, your computer, and this microphone, and then your voice memos app, this thing can record audio independently. You might want to do this if, for instance, you have a 4-person podcast, but only one camera running, but you wanted each person to have their own microphone. You can't run 4 microphones into one camera, at least not with this set. So you could record 2 of the audios onto a phone, record 2 of the audios into a camera, and mix them all together. This is also good news if you're someone who just records video on a phone, but you want a better audio solution, maybe if you're standing a little far away from your phone. And this is the same story with the computer too. If you plug this receiver into your computer with the USB-C cable, your computer will automatically recognize this as an option for audio on any drop-down menu in every program. So you can use this system for voiceovers or Zoom calls or whatever. How does it sound? Hang on, I'm gonna switch it out. All right, from this moment till the end of the video, all audio you hear is being recorded through the WEC-S microphone from Godox. Add a little haze, maybe too much. Hard to tell. I recorded everything up to this point with the Rode Wireless Go 2 mic and a little lapel attached, instead of using my usual boom mic, and that was for fairness. Because this boom mic will pretty much always beat a tiny microphone, and I didn't want it to sound so much better that when I switched to this microphone, it just sounded bad, even though it doesn't sound bad. So you've been listening to the Rode Wireless Go, now you're listening to the Godox WEC-S. This thing's not even on. Plus, these Rode wireless mics, for me anyway, have always been a pretty solid standard just to compare things against. A lot of people use these. They're very popular. They're very good. And as far as I can tell, the Godox microphones are pretty close to equal as far as like what the sound sounds like. I did put a little too much smoke in the air. Oh, I got a keyboard too. I didn't even notice I added that in there. In this setting, I'm in my garage with fairly minimal sound dampening treatment too. I do have a little rug over in the entryway, and I have some blankets that I've hung on the wall to sort of stop my voice from bouncing around too much. But I am in a concrete room. It's 20 by 25 feet. And then there's just a bunch of stuff on the walls and a bunch of stuff in the room that sort of breaks up the sound. So this sounds pretty good in here. This is far from like a sound studio environment. So let's go outside, put on a windscreen, and see how this thing sounds with whatever natural amount of wind is happening out there right now. Now attached the dead cat wind muffler thing to this. It's a pretty normal day. It's a little windy today, but not much. And I did this with the other version of these mics, but I think it's a pretty important benchmark to cover, and that's whether or not the signal strength from this thing will pass through increasingly solid things. Here we have a cinder block wall. I'm gonna go ahead and walk behind this cinder block wall and see if my voice disappears. I think my voice probably won't disappear because it didn't disappear the last time I did this with the other version of this same microphone. Here is a steel dumpster full of garbage, considerably denser than a concrete wall because there's tons of wood and steel and stuff like that inside of here. Still, I think it's gonna do just fine, and actually you know before I do in real time whether or not that worked. I'm sure it's fine. And finally, sports is another pretty common thing to record and have mic'd up. So I found myself a baseball field. Godox says this microphone has a 200-meter range, and that's probably true in perfect circumstances, but what if I'm turned around? What if I'm a baseball player and you've got me mic'd up? My body is mostly water, and water is super good at breaking up radio signals, so I wonder if I'm turned away and I'm kind of far from the camera, I'm curious to see at what point this signal will get broken up. You're probably never gonna need to be a whole 200 meters away from your camera, but if your son is the right fielder, is this right field? If your son is the left fielder in a baseball game, you want to mic them up because, I don't know, that's what the NFL does, and it's pretty cool when you see that. Are you going to be able to get a good signal from the sideline with him this far away? My guess is that, yes, you are. I'm nowhere near the maximum range, and right now I'm facing the camera. If I turn away from the camera, it's possible that my body's going to block that signal, and I guess I won't know until I get to the editing for this video. Okay, anyway, baseball. I hope this helps you make whatever decision you've come here to gather data about. I do want to try one more thing, and that is to turn on the DNR button, the digital noise reduction. That's on now, so you can see the difference in what that sounds like. The only noise I really have in here is an air conditioner, but that thing is so quiet that I don't normally hear it in recordings anyway, but we'll see if it added some sort of robotic element to my voice anyway. The charging case plus the digital connection to the camera makes these microphones really convenient to use. And in my personal estimation, the sound quality that you get out of these is totally within the acceptable range for what I use them for, which is YouTube. There are links below to buy everything, and that's it. Goodbye. I normally push this button to turn it off, but the audio's not going. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna walk away.